Olá, meus amigos, aqui é Clerão Andarilho. Dessa vez sem trazer notícias, vou fazer uma reação também da Snark J. Lembra que eu falei várias vezes sobre self-insert, né? Auto-inserção, está matando seus personagens. Ela vem aqui falar sobre isso mesmo e trouxe recibos. Vamos ver o que é. A legenda tá on, eu vou traduzindo conforme a situação. Vamos lá, 1, 2, 3 e já!
About the ruining of franchises and Hollywood in general, but one of the biggest scourges plaguing Hollywood is, of course, the villain known as the self-insert. Hey y'all, Snarky J Cosplay here. Every once in a while, when we talk about the things ruining our favorite franchises and we take to the internet to about characters that we don't like, one of the phrases that we throw around quite frequently and that we happen to see more and more often in Hollywood is the self-insert. Now you might be sitting there wondering, what exactly is a self-insert? Because I hear it all the time and I'm too afraid to ask. Well, wonder no more. A self-insert is essentially when a writer...
Eu vou pular essa parte porque você já sabe que é self-insert, eu já sei, já expliquei pra vocês, então vamos pular essa parte, né? Então vamos pular essa parte aqui, vamos lá.
There are a lot of writer inserts that have made for interesting characters. As it is, we like to write and talk about our own experiences, so if we can write what we know and write a better character out of it, it doesn't mean that every self-insert is bad. Unfortunately, it does mean that a large percentage of self-inserts are bad because they're done lazily, egotistically, and way too often at the expense of the greater story being told. And I mean, audiences aren't stupid, right? 90% of the time where we're listening to a self-insert on behalf of a writer, we pretty much are savvy enough to realize, yeah, this is definitely a self-insert and not necessarily a character that should be here. Like I said, not every self-insert is bad, but most self-inserts, at least in the modern era, are done for a number of different reasons.
Exatamente. Existem self-inserts bons, mas que o cara se coloca... Por exemplo, o próprio Akira Toriyama colocava pequenos personagens que representavam ele, mas eles não faziam tecnicamente parte da história. O maior problema do self-insert agora é que o cara entra totalmente na história, às vezes ignora o personagem principal da história original para ele, né?
I have a message I need to say, I have an agenda I need to drive, I need people to know more about me. And when you think about the reasons why we make content, to educate, to entertain, or to inform, I have something I need to get off my chest does not necessarily fit in with any of those and therefore doesn't justify a good piece of content. And it might not seem like self-inserts are as big a problem as they are, but they're actually pretty prevalent across a number of different media going on right now. And I've been thinking about this for so long that I really had to buckle down and make this video because, to be honest, as somebody who has written a lot of self-insert fan fiction, yes, I was one of those people on Tumblr. Why do you think I'm like this?
Eu desconfiei que ela era uma Tumblrite. Ela é uma cosplay. E a maioria deles são.
Now, I eventually grew out of it, and realized that if I was going to write a piece of content, a story, or what have you, it didn't necessarily have to represent me entirely. Unfortunately, a lot of people managed to get to Hollywood and did not figure that out. And the first case we're going to talk about is everybody in the writer's room over at my beloved Disney Plus show that I miss every day. I think you guys know which one I'm talking about, She-Hulk. The writers of this show openly admitted that Jennifer Walters, otherwise known as She-Hulk, was pretty much based entirely on themselves.
Exatamente. Elas admitiram que She-Hulk foi totalmente baseado nelas. E que a história era basicamente histórias que elas queriam contar baseadas nela. Não tinha nada a ver com o She-Hulk. Outra coisa, nenhuma delas leu She-Hulk.
And while that would have worked had these people had some fun, interesting messages like what She-Hulk once had within her own comic series, it might have worked. But being that they were a bunch of 30-somethings looking to complain about their love lives, it made for a show almost as frustrating as my actual love life. See, the problem with a character like She-Hulk is, yeah, you can have a character that is a frustrated 30-something-year-old woman with a challenging love life, and if all of that was done well, then it would have been a good show. show. She-Hulk is an admittedly fun character, and I don't think that their original idea was that far off of what she was in the comics. Unfortunately, they decided to insert too much of themselves, and what happened with that is that everybody in that writer's room walked in with a chip on their shoulder. A story about some man who wasn't fun at dinner, some dating app that they loathe, some best friend whose wedding they went to and regretted it. It was a number of different self-insert stories. And so what happens is that the normally fun-loving, zesty, almost Deadpool-like Jennifer Walters ends up coming across as shallow, petty, smug, and bitter, all of which are personality traits that I wouldn't and don't even like in male characters, which is probably why I didn't like it in a female character.
Exatamente, acabaram botando ao se colocar na história, ou se autocolocar na She-Hulk como avatar das frustrações delas, né, das escritoras, das roteiristas, elas acabaram colocando nela, na She-Hulk, os traços negativos que elas dizem não gostar nos personagens masculinos. E é o que acontece com Self-Insert. Grande coisa do Self-Insert também é que acaba revelando o seu lado negativo. Deve ser por isso que as pessoas brigam tanto. Porque eu não quero admitir que esse é o lado negativo, né?
Internalized misogyny, as some of the shills claimed it to be. It was a poorly written show based entirely on self-insert fanfiction. I mean, they literally decided to serve up a superhero courtroom drama where the story arcs revolved entirely around her love life woes and they were condescending as to every male character in the show, so it wasn't even close to superhero storytelling. It was just people that needed to complain. And to me, it was just puzzling, because if they wanted to vent about their love life so badly, I understand, but I don't think She-Hulk was the place to do it. Moving on to another equally beloved self-insert, let's move on to Mindy Kaling's Velma. See, initially a lot of complaints about Velma in the new series was that she didn't exactly look like the Velma that we're all used to.
Bem, esse aqui nós já vimos, né? Então nós vamos pular. Mas tem um outro aqui que ela falou que... Esse aqui também nós já vimos, que é Kathleen Kennedy, Ray, Mary Sue Papatini. Mas ela fala um aqui interessante que eu não sabia.
Piston Cup champion, probably inspired by people like Richard Petty and Jimmy Johnson from NASCAR. And
no caso, ela tá falando de Cars, né? Relâmpago McQueen.
In Cars 3, a movie made for children who want to watch the cool car say ka-chow and drive around in circles. In Cars 3, he is an aging race car being pushed out of his career by an all-new, technologically advanced, better, faster generation. He has this big crash at the beginning of the movie that was traumatizing to kids everywhere. I wasn't young enough to be traumatized by that movie, and I didn't watch it until years after it came out, because Cars 2 was that bad. That is exactly what that crash is a metaphor for. The second Cars was basically Larry the Cable Guy as Mater having some really convoluted, terrible spy adventure around the world. It was stupid for adults to follow. Kids weren't really a big fan of it. It is the worst rated Pixar movie on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually the only one to have a pure Rotten score. And so at the beginning of Cars 3, we have this tremendous crash and then the need to build Lightning McQueen back up. If that isn't a metaphor for Pixar having to build the Cars franchise back up after the disaster that was Cars 2, I don't know what is. Cars 3 is basically John Lasseter's healing sequel. The entire film is just people making old man jokes at a Lightning McQueen that fails at literally everything he tries.
Exatamente. O carro 3 é isso, zoando, e o Relâmpago McQueen é o velho. Nessa época, John Lasseter tinha saído da Pixar. Apesar dele ainda ter créditos dos Cars 3, ele já tinha saído da criação. Eles estavam fazendo isso como uma metáfora para o John Lasseter. John Lasseter, como eu falei, é o gênio por trás da Pixar, que criou quase todos os filmes da Pixar que fizeram sucesso, foi a criação dele, tá?
Because he's being single-handedly bested by his trainer with an appropriately diverse name, Cruz Ramirez, and I'm...
Exatamente. Eles fizeram a coisa. Pegaram o personagem que todo mundo gosta e foi substituído pela personagem Cruz Ramirez, a diversa personagem que substitui o herói. Provavelmente a ideia é fazer com que Cruz Ramirez fosse a personagem principal de Carros, né?
Pronouncing it in English, because if I said one name in Spanish, both names would have to be in Spanish and it just sound annoying, but they just wanted to make sure that it sounded super diverse, whether you called her by her first name or last name. Both of these are Hispanic surnames, none of which sound as cool as Lightning or McQueen. Ka-chow. Anyway, the entire time the industry and Cruz are single-handedly like pushing him out of his own industry, which basically mirrors exactly what John Lasseter was going through at Pixar. Aging leadership, pressure to make way for new talent, and shifts in animation and style and also messaging. It makes for an emotional enough story, sure, but it also feels way more like Pixar holding up a mirror to themselves as opposed to a film that was made to round out the trilogy of one of Pixar's most iconic characters ever. So think about it this way. Was the story serving the character, or was Lightning McQueen just the vehicle serving the studio?
Exatamente. No caso, ela percebeu aí que o Lightning McQueen sendo destruído nessa série, nesse filme, era um self-insert do John Lasseter. Só que não do John Lasseter. As pessoas colocaram o John Lasseter dele e começaram a atacar ele, entendeu? Tem um outro aqui também que ela fala que muita gente não vai gostar, que é esse aqui, ó.
But I grew up watching Crypto the Superdog, and I remember Crypto being this big, like, lab-type dog. He looked super noble. And then in this movie, they get what looks like some kind of rat terrier. I'm not saying he's not cute, I'm just saying he doesn't exactly look like, you know, a Kryptonian superdog. James Gunn, whom I'm honestly still questioning why they gave him the keys to the kingdom with such abhorrent tweets about all kinds of things that I'm not even going to repeat. You can look at...
É verdade. Vamos dizer que James Gunn adora crianças. E eu não vou cansar de dizer isso. James Gunn adora crianças. Adora mesmo. Sim, ele adora crianças. Entendeu?
Those for yourself. He, while in the midst of writing this movie, adopts this misbehaving, formerly abused dog. I think it's great. Adopt, don't shop. He adopts this dog, and the dog is biting his ankles while he's trying to write this movie, to the point that he has to sit on his counter to avoid being attacked by this dog. And so he decides that this is what he's gonna base Superman's dog on. This is what Crypto the Superdog is based on. And everybody's coming at me, oh yeah, but the dog isn't his, that's why it doesn't behave, that's actually Kara, Supergirl's dog, that's his cousin's dog, that's why he doesn't listen to him. I don't give a shit. You cannot explain choices made by a director or writer with lore that they made up. Like, none of this is real. So when you tell me, well yeah, but he explained it right, but he made the
Exatamente, ele fez a escolha, depois ele deu uma explicação na lore que ele criou. Entendeu? Ele tá falando, é o cachorro da prima dele, babá da Supergirl e tal. Não, ele tá fazendo. Ele basicamente, eu entendi o que ela quer fazer aí. Esse filme do Superman tá basicamente sendo um self-insert do James Gunn, mas no caso que o James Gunn vai se focar no cachorro. Eu acho que ele só quer botar o cachorro dele lá. Apesar que o James Gunn é egocêntrico a ponto de fazer isso, né?
Choice, and then he made lore to back it up. You see how that works? So then people are like, well, the dog's not even that big a part of the movie, right? I don't know, it kind of looks like it's everywhere. The popcorn buckets for this movie.
É verdade, os baldes de pipoca do filme é um balde de cachorro.
Are a dog bowl and the dog. Like, I feel like the entire purpose of this dog was for James Gunn to go, look, it reminds me of my dog, also buy the f***ing toy. And so my concern, again, I haven't seen the movie, so I'm not writing it off, I'm not saying the dog is gonna destroy the movie, but my concern is the dog a meaningful character? Or is it a quirky pet gag that basically gets shoehorned in for James Gunn's own self-indulgence?
Esse é o maior problema, que é o problema da maioria do self-insert. É uma autoindulgência do criador, né, do cara que está fazendo, ou realmente tem propósito na história? Porque parece que não tem. Bem, basicamente isso que eu ia fazer. Ela já falou muito bem sobre self-insert, para mostrar que não é só eu que falo disso, que self-insert estraga. Ela citou aí um self-insert que eu não sabia, que era do Carros, né? E ela falou bem da She-Hulk, não foi um self-insert específico, foi um self-insert de todas as personagens todas as roteiristas de She-Hulk, né? E mostrando que atualmente, né, self-insert é uma péssima ideia e está destruindo os seus personagens. Tá bom, gente? Eu espero que vocês tenham gostado do vídeo. O vídeo completo da Snark J vai estar no link aí abaixo. Sigam a Snark J, ela fala sobre tudo um pouco também, né, de cultura pop. Ela faz cosplay também. Sigam ela lá, né? O conteúdo dela é bem legal. Ela é porto-riquenha, né? Não só muito legal, muito bonita também. Bem, gente, por hoje é só. E a gente se vê outro dia. Tchau, tchau.